GTA 6 gonna have a lot of new stuff for us in store, guys, so we gotta get ready for it. So what do we actually want? Well, I'll answer that question, because today we'll be going over what we want from GTA 6. Welcome back to Hooba GTA, let's get into the video. Number 5, a new town and a new time. For the past few GTA titles, Rockstar has stuck to two locations, Liberty City and Los Santos. The last new place we visited was Vice City, and we haven't gone back there since the days of the PS2 and PSP. It's easy to see why Rockstar keeps reusing these spots since they represent two of the biggest cities in the US, but it's time for someplace new. Maybe we could visit somewhere that's a stand-in for another major metropolitan area in the United States, like Chicago or Dallas. It would also give Rockstar a chance to make fun of some of the new accents, which I'm sure it would love, or the studio could opt for a whole new state. Every GTA gets bigger and bigger, so why not just make the game take place in the entirety of Florida or Nevada? It doesn't even have to be in the US at all. They could take all the series out of the country and place it somewhere completely different. Who doesn't want to play a GTA that takes place on the mean streets of Saskatoon? Aside from that, I wouldn't mind seeing a new time period explored. Let's face it, trying to satirize or parody our current era is pretty redundant, as real life is way more absurd than anything of a GTA game could come up with. Moving this setting to sometime in the past could be great because it would mean that Rockstar wouldn't have to try to create something wilder than reality, and we could get a healthy dose of nostalgia to boot. This could mean revisiting the 80s or 90s, going back as far as the 60s, 70s, or even just heading to the 2000s, since that's now 2 decades ago. Oh god, I'm so old. Hell, maybe it could even show us what crime looks like in the distant future. That way it could justify giving us flying cars and laser rifles.
If you don't think any of them are legit, go ahead and comment why you think none of the screenshots are legit.
Number 4, a good story, and maybe a female protagonist. When you look at the majority of stories across the GTA games, they tend to follow a similar formula. You start out as a low-level crook who is either the beginning of their crime career or has fallen on hard times. You do some simple jobs for some important people that you usually end up killing at some point. Before you know it, you've murdered your arch enemy and ascended to the top of the criminal food chain. GTA 5 switched things up a bit by having its narrative involve 3 different protagonists, but it still mostly adhered to this outline. A fresh new spin on the classic GTA plot would be much appreciated for a new sequel. Perhaps you could switch between a cop and a longtime criminal who are forced to work together. Or you could be the child of the head of a major crime family who's been thrust into the leadership role after your father is murdered. Whatever the story ends up being, it sure would be nice to see a female protagonist for once in the series. To date, women have been able to commit wanton murder and mayhem as the main character of the single-player campaigns. The option to play as a male or female a la the recent Assassin's Creed games would be refreshing. Rockstar could even make the lead fully customizable. Of course, that would require it to make a better character customization system than the awful one they use for GTA Online.
That you like. We're going to take from those and basically you guys drive this.
Number 3, plenty of things to do in the city. One of the best aspects of Red Dead Redemption 2 was the feeling of exploration. I spent countless hours riding my horse through the open world and discovering strange random Easter eggs. There was a house you could enter where a family had been crushed by a meteorite. You could come across a cave with a giant you could have a conversation with. And who can forget the horror of accidentally running into the Nightfolk in the swamps of Lake A. These kinds of weird little encounters made Red Dead feel like a truly open world. There was this sense you could go anywhere and something bizarre could happen at any time. GTA 5 did have random things that could happen, but they never felt as organic as they did in Red Dead 2. The feeling of mystery and occasional dread from wandering around the landscape is something I would love to have in GTA 6. I want to stumble across random murder scenes or underground casinos that I couldn't have possibly known about, or run into someone who turns out to be a lizard person. Just throw in some weird stuff and don't tell me about it. Number 2, more wackiness in general. When I turn on a Grand Theft Auto title, I want a good deal of silliness. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate these games when they tell a good story, but whenever GTA tries to venture into serious storytelling territory, it's always let down by the ludonarrative dissonance that comes with actually playing the game. One second you're watching Nico deal with the struggles of living the American dream, the next you're still in a cop car and ran over a hot dog vendor. Let Red Dead Redemption be the place for contemplative, emotional storytelling. GTA is where I want to blow up buildings with a rocket-firing helicopter. Rockstar decided to put all the zaniest content into GTA Online with a single-player campaign remains somewhat grounded in reality. You get the occasional UFO or wild drug trip here and there, but you never get to drive that flying motorcycle without dedicating hours to grinding or spinning real-world cash in the online portion of the game. I'm not suggesting the series go into full-blown Saints Row madness, not that it would be a bad thing if it did, but I'd like to see GTA get wild like it did in the old days. Let me run a drug smuggling business out of an ice cream store. Let me steal an experimental tank that fires lasers. More jetpacks, more aliens, more cults, more of the wackiest things imaginable. Number 1, hopefully we'll play it before the PS6 comes out. There are just a few things I'd like to see in GTA 6. Obviously, some changes to the ways missions are structured. Some tighter combat and driving mechanics and fancier interiors would be nice too, but really I just want jetpacks and lasers. I'm easy to please. For now, we'll all just have to wait for the magical day that Rockstar finally confirms GTA 6's existence with one of its underproduced teaser trailers. Hopefully that'll happen before the end of this decade. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. Also watch the 2 videos that are on your screen because I'm sure you'll love them. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.